had before. On the self-screening, I would leave that must. If you're not feeling well and you think that you have influenza, a really bad cold, or COVID, you should self-screen and probably not come to work. So if, I don't know.
Let me just clarify.
Yes.
Senator Machicky, so the Reinbold motion was only in that first paragraph, and it was, the essence of it was must to may. Your motion would be must to recommend. Delete must. So legislator, staff, interns, credentialed media, we would need an adverb,
My motion, Madam Chair, if I may,
please.
just began with legislative council recommends that, and then the word must goes away, and that second sentence goes away as well.
Okay, so we have an amendment to the amendment. Discussion?
I object.
You object?
Yeah.
Are you ready to vote on the amendment to the amendment, the Machicky amendment? So we'd be adding legislative council recommends at the beginning of that bullet that legislative staff, interns, and credentialed media participate. And we would continue to drop the second sentence in that bullet. Ms. Geary, I think we're ready for a vote.
Madam Chair, I think the amendment to the amendment, Senator Reinbold's amendment would drop the second sentence, right? So that's.
And Senator Machicky, they're both dropping both of their amendments.
But we have an amendment to an amendment, right? Am I misreading this?
The Reinbold amendment was to change must to may.
Right.
And delete second sentence. The Machicky amendment to that still drops the second sentence, but puts legislative council recommends, and the word must is dropped because it now recommends that these people participate. So making it also a permissive, not mandatory, but with the word recommend versus may.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
I can clarify and just, so we only have to vote once, if that's okay, if I can restate my motion? Is that okay?
Well, the motion is on the floor. So restating your motion doesn't actually move us further ahead. If it achieves what you want, then you can pull it out after we've taken up Machicky's motion.
Madam.
Representative Clayman.
I think that the effect of the Machicky amendment is to make the Reinbold language of may, it removes that language. So a yes vote on the Machicky amendment means that we have accepted the deletion of the second sentence in the Reinbold amendment and rejected the may. And so we either vote up or down on Machicky, and if we vote yes on Machicky, there's nothing to take up with respect to Reinbold's may language.
Yes. Senator Bishop, we'll take a brief at ease.
I can.
We're back on the record. Senator Machicki.
Madam Chair, I would like to withdraw my amendment to the amendment.
With that, we have the Reinbold amendment before us, which changes the word must to may, and then deletes the second sentence in that bullet. That is the vote. Senator Stedman.
So do we still have an objection to the amendment?
I object to Machicki's.
I object to Reinbold.
Okay, we have an objection.
I would vote against both.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? All right. Making sure, Senator Shower, were you able to hear us?
I think I heard enough of it to understand, Madam Chair, if I'm correct, we're simply voting on the Reinbold amendment now?
Yes.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Representative Clayman.
No.
Representative Edgman.
Yes.
Representative Foster.
Yes.
Speaker Stutz.
Yes.
Representative Tilton.
Yes.
Representative Tuck.
Yes.
Senator Bishop.
Yes.
Senate President Machicki.
Yes.
Senator Hughes.
Yes.
Senator Shower.
Yes,
Senator Stedman.
Yes.
Senator Stevens.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reinbold.
Yes.
Chair Hannon.
No.
12 yeas, 2 nays.
And with 12 yeas and 2 nays, the amendment has passed. Do we have other, or are we ready? Representative Tilton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Section 1, Statement number 3 says, other requests not covered by 1 and 2 will be considered by the Legislative Council Chair or her designee. My question regarding that, we haven't had that in any of our previous policies, and so my question is, what is the anticipation on the other requests not covered by an individual legislator may require masks in their legislative office, and that a legislative information office may require the mask to be worn. So I guess my question is, why or what are you anticipating that the Legislative Council needs to give approval to the chair for?
Through the chair, Representative Tilton, number 3 is intended to cover a situation such as Speaker Stutz brought up with the lounge staff, or if there was a section within the agency that had an immunocompromised person, they could require that a mask be worn. So it's just to cover those sort of one-off situations and allows cover so that certain offices that aren't individual legislator offices or an LIO could ask that mask be worn. Did that make sense?
So just a follow-up, so this would not give the chair the authority to change the policy for the overall, face covering being optional. It would only be in specific cases.
Representative Tilton, through the chair, that is correct.
Okay, let me just, so Representative Stutz, did that answer,
It did.
clarify?
Yes, thank you very much.
Senator Reinbold.
Thank you, and I'm super grateful for that last vote, so thank you guys so much. I do have a point of clarification on Section 4. It's positive test and close contact. This is page 2, the very top. It says legislators and legislative staff must isolate as directed by health authorities and cooperate with contact tracing and quarantine efforts. The legislature will follow CDC guidance for individuals who test positive and test to stay protocol for those individuals who are in close contact with a person who tests positive. Can somebody elaborate what all that means?
Through the chair, Vice Chair Reinbold, so that statement is just in the event of if somebody tests positive, that they are required to isolate as directed by health authorities. So that's only in the case that somebody tests positive. Currently, the CDC guidance is that if you are a close contact and you don't meet these certain requirements of having COVID within 90 days, you're boosted, those types of things, the current protocol is that those people must quarantine for 5 days. So the test to stay protocol allows for daily testing for close contacts so that they do not have to miss work.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Through the chair. So is this basically saying non-vaccinated people have to isolate for 5 days and natural immunity is not recognized even though it is superior?
Through the chair, Vice Chair Reinbold, no, this is only if an individual is sick and tests positive for COVID-19. That is the only time that this would go into effect. And I might read if it's helpful. So the full paragraph, it's split into 2 different pages, so it's a little confusing with all the extra strike-throughs. But what it says in full, as proposed, in the event of a confirmed positive test result, the Legislative Affairs Agency Executive Director will be notified, who will in turn notify the appropriate presiding officer and rules chair. Legislators and legislative staff must isolate as directed by health authorities and cooperate with contact tracing and quarantine efforts. So those statements are combined.
Did you have Senator Machicky?
Just wanted to put on the record that my understanding of this is that committee chairs will still have the option of making policy in their own rooms, and we will work with LIO staff accordingly. I'm sorry. So it doesn't say that clearly, but the kind of individuals being able to call on the masking thing for certain locations will be locations that they're actually entirely in control of. Was that the understanding of the LAA director?
Through the chair, Senate President Machicky, yes, those types of things would all be covered under 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, and us being at a hard close at 9 o'clock, I call for the question. I make the motion that we call for the question.
Do we have a restatement of what the question is?
The question is to adopt, the question before us would be to adopt the Legislative Council mitigation policy amended today. So there was a written proposal from LAA, and then we made one amendment to it, the Reinbold motion. So under cycle testing, it's now the May and the second. So that's the only change to the recommended policy before us.
And, sorry.
But we've got,
I know we're under time duress here, but what's the net effect of wearing masks in the Capitol?
they become optional.
At the discretion of committee chairs, if necessary, or as a course of business? Okay.
May I have one clarifying question before we actually?
Okay, so.
One thing, we have two rules chairs here at the table. I just want to make sure when we brought up the issue of the lounge, that when I look at 3, that doesn't take away the power of the rules chairs to make a ruling on the lounge. Is that, I mean, because the lounge is controlled by the rules chair. And so on what the speaker had pointed out about the lounge, does that mean that the authority goes to the Leg Council chair, or does it remain with the rules chair? That's only my question. I want to make sure we're not subverting authority, that's all.
Through the chair, Representative Tuck, the reason the Legislative Council chair was listed is because it's a Legislative Council policy, and historically, Legislative Council chair has been responsible for exceptions to the policy. I would not read this as taking any authority away from any committee chair or the rules chair in charge of the lounge. my take on this is that those decisions could still be made. I suppose the argument could be made that the legislative council chair could not agree, but I don't think that's the intent of this policy. And intent does matter.
Rules chairs, do you, before we've,
We can work this out.
and keep our lounge open and at the request. We don't ever want an unhappy cook. So we do have a question, the question has been called, and it's actually not debatable, and we are 4 minutes past what I was told was a hard stop, so
Is there time for clarity or?
the longer we take, the less, the question has been. Well, I've got two people who would like to still speak.
Just want a point of clarity, just like they got.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that there's equal application here. There's no difference between the vaxxed and the unvaxxed in the policy, and that natural immunity is recognized as NIH. Is that correct, Ms. Gary?
Through the chair, Vice Chair Reinbold, those particular factors are covered in adding the test to stay protocol. It treats everyone the same unless somebody tests positive.
Ready for the question?
Can I just, one clarifying?
Representative Tilton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I apologize. I know we all need to get to our next meetings. My clarification is that if, in fact, the Legislative Council Chair does make a determination for special situations where somebody, let's say the lounge wants to have masking, will that be made very clear to the entire building what those when that decision has been made, so that there is no misunderstandings of the people in the building of what areas where they do have to mask?
That's a great question, Representative Tilton. I would, through the chair, I would recommend that signage be placed, and I could work with the chair to make sure a communication goes out. In each individual committee, they can make that their own determination, but as far as nonpartisan areas that legislators frequent, we'll make sure there's signage and notification if masks are required.
We're ready for the vote? So we are voting on a modified COVID-19 policy dated today, where we had one amendment here earlier. Ms. Geary, please call the roll.
Representative Clayman.
Yes.
Representative Edgman.
Yes.
Representative Foster.
Yes.
Speaker Stutes.
Yes.
Representative Tilton. Representative Tuck.
Yes.
Senator Bishop.
Yes.
Senate President Machicky.
Yes.
Senator Hughes.
Yes.
Senator Shower.
Yes.
Senator Stedman.
Yes.
Senator Stevens.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reinbold.
Yes.
Chair Hannon.
Yes.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
With 14 yeas and 0 nays, the modified new mitigation policy has been adopted. With nothing further to come before the council, we are adjourned at 9:07 a.m. on the 23rd.
Thank you all for tuning in today. Appreciate it. I just happened to catch this. I was looking for the Senate's Senate Bill 199 and 200, which was supposed to be heard at 9 o'clock this morning, and discovered this instead. So I decided to go ahead and play it. that they were talking about COVID mitigation policies here and what they are doing there in the Capitol. And it seems that they've loosened up a little bit, but nothing really that substantially helps out us Alaskans at all. It just keeps propagating the lie out there that if you are triple vaxxed, you are safe and secure. You don't have to worry about worst case scenario. But by their policies from the triple vax down there in Juneau, obviously that's not the case, because they're still keeping the Capitol locked down. What are they afraid of if what the science they keep pushing on us all is true? Just really brings some questions to mind there. But as for the House or Senate bills 199 and Senate Bill 200, the PFD bills, the ones that have been brought forward directly by Bert Stedman and Natasha von Imhoff and all the others that are there inside of the Senate Finance, because this bill was brought forward and sponsored by the Senate Finance directly, was supposed to be heard today, but it got canceled. It was supposed to be starting at 9 o'clock this morning. No announcement of cancellation. I just happened to go online so that I could stream it here this morning, is what I had set up for. And it was gone. They said no meeting whatsoever, and nothing has been rescheduled at this point. So we'll just have to wait and see when they are planning on having that. That is also being fast-tracked, from my understanding, catching what has been in print by the mainstream media, who has been talking to the legislators that have sponsored this bill. It is going to be fast-tracked through the Senate Finance Committee, and their whole intent is this is the only committee that it is going to go through. There will not be another committee seeing these two bills, and it will get directly sent to the Senate floor for a vote. And because of the illegal binding caucus that they have there in the Senate, the thieves that work only for special interests and not the majority of Alaskans, I'm pretty sure it's going to pass. At least that's what mainstream media is saying. And then it's going to do the same exact thing and go over to the House, and it's going to be dropped into the House Finance Committees, and they will go through the bill themselves, and then it's supposed to go directly out of the House Finance Committee and onto the House floor to be voted on. And because of the illegal binding caucus that they have there in the House, it is going to get passed. They only need a simple majority vote in both to approve these two bills to get through, and then it's going to go to the governor's desk. And what I predict is the governor is going to veto it, and then it's going to come back to the House and the Senate, and they will not have enough votes to override the veto. They won't be able to get the 3/4 votes needed to be able to do that. And because it's an election year, the Democrats out there are going to play this off as, look at what happened. The Republicans and the governor of our state failed to provide a long-term fiscal plan. Look, we passed these bills. It was for the long-term future of Alaska, which is a lie. They are the most corrupt bills you have ever seen in your lifetime, but that's not how they're going to spin it. They're going to spin it as Republicans and the governor don't care about Alaskans. Look at what they did. Mark my words, that's exactly what's in play here right now. Thank you all for tuning in. I only caught the last portion of them trying to change the policies for the COVID mitigation there in Juneau at the Capitol, and but you can see it was pretty much a universal vote of yay to continue on with the lockdowns that they have going down inside of the Capitol at this moment in time. It is not surprising whatsoever. It's amazing to see how many unmasked faces there show up at the end of that meeting versus at what was there at the beginning of that meeting, and for a place that loves to be locked down. Like, share, go to my website, Politadick.com, click that donate button. All proceeds go to making sure that I can be here to do more live streams like this. I'm trying to get back on top of making sure I stream what is going on down there in Juneau that you can only capture if you go to their website on Gavel or the KTOO after the fact to be able to watch what is happening down there instead of being notified live that these kind of things are occurring. You can find us on Facebook at Politadick Unfiltered, on YouTube at Politadick, and also on Twitter at Politadick. anytime we go live, we're going to make sure that we try to make sure we hit all of those channels at the same time, just like we're doing right now. And with your guys' support, by going to Politadick.com and clicking that support button or the donate button, all proceeds are going right into making sure we can continue to keep expanding. We would love to move our platform also onto Rumble and be able to stream there live. Unfortunately, it costs a lot of money to be able to do these kind of streams live onto Rumble, and without your support, I just cannot afford to do it. So everything that we've been able to accomplish so far was by folks like you stepping up to the plate and making that happen. So I appreciate all those that have come in the last few years, and especially over this past month, who have gone to the website and donated. You guys are making sure to keep the websites running, the restream services being paid for, and help contributing for the time needed to be able to make this happen. I'm not a rich person. I'm not like these lobbyists out there that and these special interest groups like the Recall Dunleavy that have millions of dollars rolling in and not being accountable for that money, that where it comes from. Everything I do comes out of my own pocket. I'm a hand-to-mouth type living, and all your support goes directly right back into Politadick and the support needed to be able to keep this up and operating and expanding. My dream is one day to be able to do this full-time and give mainstream media a run for the money, having cameras at every event that's going on, whether it's a school board meeting, an assembly meeting, a city council meeting, or them down there in Juneau, having cameras right there front and center, demanding and asking for interviews on a daily basis from all those legislators down there, exposing what mainstream media's job is supposed to be, but they no longer understand what being a true journalist is all about. Thank you all again for tuning in, and like,